All right, into Star Pack, probably for the last time. There is a big revamp on the test server for Star Pack at the moment, and I'm sure it won't be too long before it goes live. And actually, some of the pets in it are being moved to custom exclusive to make way for some new pets. One of those is the panda. And so this build, which I've had on my list for a very long time, needs to be done now before it becomes impossible, or at least before it becomes a customs only build. In fact, on that note, I will link this video in the description. This is an old SAG video with double panda, double swordfish for 4 start of battle feints, but that one actually is in customs. Either way, definitely worth a watch. So on turn 3 here, we roll double panda. Now, panda was buffed not too long ago, so that if there isn't a pet in front of it, either because you played the panda at the front, or because you played panda second and the pet in front got sniped, the panda's ability won't go off anymore. So most of the time when I was trying to get this to work, I was starting off with a huge panda at the front, and then it would only get moved further back once it got to level 2. Because the level 1 panda really is awful. It's a complete waste of a space on your team. So yeah, playing them at the back here, I'm really only doing it because their starting stats are so bad, or their stats are so bad rather. So playing a 2-4 at the front probably isn't going to help me too much. Now, most of the time I was also losing a lot of turns. For some reason, we've managed to make it to turn 5 with 4 hearts intact here, and we immediately get the panda level up. And we also find a dove, so I'm going to take the dove, but wait a turn before we have the leech fainted. There were very, very few runs where I involved leech, to be honest. I feel like every time I take it, I end up finding no doves. So generally, I only go for it if I already have multiple doves ready to be fainted. And of course, with Kiwi now removing strawberry, your odds of having the large panda already with the strawberry is much lower, because you've probably been spamming Kiwi buffs to try and boost up your main panda in the early turns. But we do get the feint from the dove here. I think dove has been changed on the test server, but it may have been changed back. I'm not sure. The changes come thick and fast, so yeah, don't quote me on that. But I don't know if we're actually going to find any more doves from this point onwards. And we take the level up here, we get polar bear, probably hoping for shoebill, surprise, surprise. And maybe it's a bit of an easy target at this point, but I think shoebill kind of illustrates pretty well a lot of the problems that this pack has in terms of variety in arena. And you know, one of them is the fact that the strawberry abilities are pretty dull. You know, I think there's about 6 of them, and 4 all involve giving stats to pets that have strawberry. And then the other 2 are Puffin, which also incentivizes you to have strawberry on everything. And then Velociraptor, which kind of compounds the value of the strawberry, the stats gained via strawberry in the first place. So it's not really a surprise that a lot of the time you get to the late game and every team is just massive. Even if it's a summon team, they will have scaled up with shoebill, and you'll just won't be able to compete without similar stats. That's not entirely true. You know, there are some. If you get a good optimized vulture, toad, spinosaurus type team, you can win in those types of situations. But I think you know, the scope for variety just isn't really there. And I appreciate there is kind of a degree of hypocrisy here in the background where I'm playing shoebill in order to give my you know, weak panda team a chance. But you know, that's just the reality. You can't compete if you think that these synergies are going to be enough to carry you. And actually there I accidentally rolled past the vulture that I needed. Maybe I thought I was just going to keep the shoebill for as long as possible and throw the vulture in at the end. But anyway, yeah, back onto the reasons why this pack is being changed. I think, you know, there are too many scalers in general, not just the strawberry pets. You know, we've also got wide scalers in Husky, which you can see on the opposing team here. And there's Komodo on tier 6 as well, although probably not used to the same degree as shoebill is. And actually Husky and Komodo have both been moved to customs only on the test server. So that's quite exciting to see, I think. But there are also a lot of vertical scalers in this pack as well. So in the early game we've got yak, and then there's salamander, jellyfish, and then on tier 3 we've got cassowary. And there are also a bunch of pets that gain a lot of stats as their ability. So you can see eel on the opposing team, which has also been moved to customs. Lion has been moved to customs as well. Now, of course, scaling is a major part of this game. It has to exist. You want the stats to go up to force wins and losses. But it's more really just the saturation. There's so many scalers of all different types and so many stat gainers as well that it's kind of a bit redundant. So in this particular run, you can also see another problem with some of these units, lion, eel, panda, is that you end up with situations where stats are starting to go to waste. So, you don't see people going for level 3 lion, level 3 eel. I guess panda is maybe a little bit of an exception there because you can, deliberately manipulate it so that you're not wasting any stats. But here you can see the leech has a lot of health already. So the panda is giving fewer stats overall than it actually has. But we do manage to win there as a result of the platypus spawns. And ideally I didn't want to have the pandas giving stats to already huge units. I wanted them to be giving stats to the summon late game units like Sabertooth and Orca. And I will have an example at the end of one of those builds. But I think at this point, we're basically committed to the leech. We have really strong scaling, but we still only have 2 hearts. So I feel like I'm very scared to sell the leech here for an Orca, which is probably going to only give us 1 or 2 extra summons. And because we only have a level 1 vulture, you can see I do find the Orca here, but I realize it's just not going to work. So instead I'm rolling for popcorn, which we can use on the pandas so that they produce something when they actually faint. And we are playing the panda at the back to counteract seahorse, and there you go. We immediately face a seahorse team, which does mean that some of these stats are wasted on the leech there. But I think here we are going to get a little bit fortunate that the ants don't buff each other, which means that the platypus can take out the stork, and then the reduced stats on the stork summons mean that we do scrape the win. But this really did feel like a hollow victory, using Shoebill, but also just the fact that the vulture was a level 1 brought in at the very, very end. So here's one of the runs that I got the closest to what I actually wanted. And you can see here we've got vulture at the back. I wanted to have both the pandas with popcorn and then probably double Orca or Orca plus Sabertooth. And opposing team here, I didn't notice what their first unit there was, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think their entire squad is scaling pets. And, that's just the way it goes a lot of the time. We do have enough in this particular one. And another thing that they're correcting on the test server is the fact that there's no chocolate in this pack. And so, yes, okay, there is crow, but a lot of the time you get to a state like this where you're kind of board locked, and so crow is useless, which means that you're just rolling for duplicates in the shop, and it can be very, very frustrating where you go many turns without seeing any duplicates at all. And if you already have the equipment you want, like we do have the double popcorn here already, you just kind of waste turns away, not being able to find anything. Now here we got quite fortunate with a flea spawning from the Orca there, removing the coconut on the jellyfish, I think it was. So 8 wins here, and I almost have exactly what I want. I think maybe 1 more popcorn on the middle Orca would be good. We don't find it, so instead I'll take the pepper on the one at the front. Maybe I should have actually put the pepper on the one in the middle, because the level 3 panda is going to give more stats. But I don't know if it made that much difference, because we get matched with this team, exactly the kind of thing I'm describing. Lots of vertical scalers and wide scalers. And I actually checked this one on SAT Calculator. I did have a very slim chance of winning here. I think most of those wins would have come if I got a walrus out of the Orca, which clearly is a very small chance. But there we go, double panda vulture was my final star pack build. Let me know in the comments if there's anything about the current star pack that you're going to miss.